And what we're here to celebrate and build awareness around is recovery. And recovery, simply put, is wellness. I'd like you to close your eyes right now and picture somebody who you know who's been affected by substance use. And as you picture that person, fill this entire space and beyond with love for that individual and their family. Now, keeping our eyes closed, raise your hand if you want to acknowledge knowing someone who has been affected by substance use. Keep your hands raised. While our eyes are closed, this represents the stigma around addiction, and that stigma impedes access to resources and services like this teen program. Now, with your hands still raised, open your eyes. Look around. We are all in this together. The more open we are to talking about this, the more likely young people will reach out for help. You can put your hands down. Thank you. In 2015, Surgeon General Vivek Murthy first reported that addiction is a brain disease. It can happen to anyone. 90% of adults who have addiction started using substances when they were teenagers. 1 in 4 young people who use substances will become addicted as adults. RecoveryBuild is a call to action to all of us to reach out and say something when you are concerned about a young person's substance use. Parents and friends, you are critical allies in bringing resources to help a struggling teen. We opened RecoveryBuild in the spring of 2018. One of the counselors, our original counselor, is here today. Amanda, just raise your hand. A big clap for Amanda McGarrigle. Many of you may not know that there are 5 recovery high schools in Massachusetts for young people with substance use challenges. There is not yet one on Cape Cod. RecoveryBuild is an after-school recovery support program for teens 13 to 17 years old. We provide a fun, safe space for teenagers to build awareness around their substance use. Over the past 3 years, with the incredible support from you and our community, including schools, private funders, towns, we've built the program from the ground up and now are ready to expand it. More than 50 teens, plus at least 1 parent or caregiver per teen, have benefited from the program so far. And RecoveryBuild counselors have conducted over 250 counseling sessions. So I'd like Melissa Heyer Mitchell and Sam Cronin to raise their hands, our counselors at the program. Awesome. So what do the teens at RecoveryBuild do? They do things like all other teens like to do. Activities like stand-up paddleboard. So there's a Namasup over here for stand-up paddleboard. They do escape rooms, they cook, they've done goat yoga, bowling, and mini golf. So the intention is to show teenagers that they can have fun on Cape Cod without using substances. So I'm thrilled to announce that earlier this month, RecoveryBuild was one of only 2 programs chosen by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to receive a $315,000 grant to provide recovery support to teens with a history of substance use. We couldn't have done this alone. Peer Recovery Center in Hyannis offered us their space when we started the program, and Duffy Health Center has been our community partner offering clinical supervision and administrative support for the program since its inception. Now I'd like to invite the CEO of Duffy Health Center, Heidi Nelson, who is also a yogi, to say a few words about our partnership.
Good morning, everybody. My favorite events, fundraising events for Duffy, are where I don't have to wash my hair or wear shoes to come to the event. So thank you so much. Thank you to Stephanie and to all of our yogis today. Thank you for doing this as part of your giving back to the world and to the universe. Thank you in particular to my yogi, Pat Clancy, who kept me sane during COVID on video. So Duffy Health Center, I am pleased to serve as the CEO of Duffy Health Center. We are a community health center that specializes in serving people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. So we provide a blend of primary medical care services, mental health and substance use disorder counseling, and case management that wraps around those that have the greatest challenges finding and keeping housing. So last year we served almost 3,000 people, which is about 10% less than we usually do because of COVID. We usually serve around 3,500 people. I was absolutely thrilled 3 years ago when Stephanie contacted me. We had been in the same circles for a while, and she said, Heidi, we want Duffy Health Center to be our clinical partner for the RecoveryBuild program, and we didn't hesitate. We said yes. We had just a couple of years before started providing medication-assisted treatment for 16 and 17-year-olds, so it was very easy for us to come together and work on this program together. So I know that, as Stephanie said, we've served about 50 people so far, and part of this, building this community, is getting the word out about the program, letting your friends and family members who struggle with these issues, let them know about this program. With this amazing grant that we got from the state, which she was too humble to say, but Stephanie single-handedly, working with state officials, wore them down. They were kind of like, we got to give this lady some money so she'll get out of our offices. With that money coming, we're going to be able to expand. Namaste to my Amanda and Melissa and Sam for everything that you guys have done so far. We'll be adding additional staff to the program, and we'll really be able to make it hum. So over the next few months, we will be developing those protocols. We'll be doing outreach, marketing, communication around the program, so you will hear more. Stay tuned. But thank you all so much for being here today and for supporting this important program. And namaste.
It's my pleasure to introduce our inspirational speaker, Freddy Shegog. Just a little background about Freddy. We tracked him down at a national conference in Boston about 5 years ago. And if you've been on the Behavioral Health Innovators website or the RecoveryBuild website, you'll hear Freddy's story. We have a section called Peer Heroes. So when working with teens, the most credible voice for teenagers is their peers. They mirror each other, and I would recommend you check out Freddy on the website. So young people like Freddy, who share their stories about addiction, talk about how all of a sudden it gripped them, how it sneaks up on you, and all of a sudden you can't stop. Teenagers never think they will become addicted to substances, and they hide their substance use at all costs. The good news is, working together, especially with their peers, they start to try on other ways of coping with their stressors rather than getting high. We provide those tools and those supports so that they can build a solid foundation to build their own path to wellness. And with that, Freddy Shegog, Give them a big Cape Cod welcome.
Getting old.
Jump up. Get a little energetic. Just jump up. Take a little break. Woo! Jump up.
Bless you. Thank you so much for having me. Bless you. Oh my. Oh my. So good afternoon. What's going on? Cape Cod, huh? Cape Cod. Okay. So this is like my second time ever speaking outside. This is going to be enjoyable and brand new. So first and foremost, let me just say this. I am so blessed to be here. It's very humbling, right? Like to see all these people here for a reason and for a cause. And while we're cheering and while we're happy, let me wake you up to the reality. We're losing an epidemic. Bad. Like we're losing. And the reality of it is, without you, and you, we're going to keep losing. I've been to a lot of funerals. I've seen this disease affect white, black, Christian, Jewish, rich, and poor. It don't care. And this next generation that's coming up, if we don't start putting our resources, if we don't start talking about it, it's going to be worse. So I thank you for being here because you're the hope. Now, I get blessed to tell my stories across the country, right? I get to go to high schools and virtually, and I get to do a lot of things. But I can promise you, one of the things that I'm starting to really realize is this next generation is looking towards the us. Things have changed. Now, me personally, I like Kojak and Mannix. I like the old school shows. Well, we don't live in that type of world anymore. Things have changed. And that's okay, that's life. But we got to start connecting. So let me first bring this back. First of all, thank y'all for having me. Stephanie, RecoveryBuild, everybody, bless y'all. You have been wonderful to me and my wife. We went to Martha's Vineyard yesterday. I ain't never seen so much seafood in my life. I mean, there's seafood food everywhere. We was eating ice cream. I mean, when I get back home, I got to go back to my day. It's bad. Right? But no, bless y'all, man. Thank y'all for having us. Like, we're so grateful for how you've treated us and how good you've been. Thank you. Like, we're truly grateful. All right, so 5 years ago, I get asked this all the time. By God's grace and mercy, this past Monday, I just celebrated 5 years of sobriety. Right? And I get asked all the time, Freddie, how did you go from a homeless, dumpster diving, panhandling, drug addicted, just out of your mind? How did you go from that to in 5 years, you're a graduate with high honors, you're a family man, you're a community volunteer, you're a published writer? How'd you do all that in 5? Like, how'd you do that? And here's your answer: support. One thing I'm learning about life, you can't get to step 2 without help getting from step 1. You don't accomplish things on your own. And unfortunately, we live in a society where stigma outweighs education. When somebody gets cancer or when they have kidney dialysis or when they have a disease that you can see, we're so quick to 5-mile run and buy shirts and we believe in them. There's no difference with addiction. I didn't ask for this. I was born with this brain. Let me take you back. Everybody always said, Freddie, what'd you go to rehab for? I checked in for drugs and alcohol, but the reality of it is it's a brain issue. Let me tell you. When I was 9 years old, I'll never forget. So my mother, I was blessed to grow up with a mother that got sober. She went to rehab once for 5 days when I was in 3rd grade. She never relapsed. She'll have 27 years this year. I got very blessed. She's a statistical miracle. On top of that, she worked at a treatment center. She did this for a living. So I was a kid that grew up going to meetings. Like a lot of kids have fun and go with their dads, drink beer and all that. I was a kid reading the DSM-5 book in my house. Like, that's how I grew up. If you came to my house, I'd be like, you want to listen to AA speakers and read the big book? Like, I grew up real different. All right, so listen, right? I'll never forget, and I want everybody in here to hear this, especially people that raise their hand. Trust me when I tell you. When I was a kid, my mom, I got diagnosed with asthma and allergies, right? So I got diagnosed with it, and my mom came home, and some of y'all can remember this, I'm dating myself, but they had the blue bag. And I was on Ventolin and Vanseril. And I'll never forget, my mom handed me the bag. She said, Freddie, you got asthma and allergies, you got to take this. So I shook it up like I was supposed to. I hit it, I was like, whoo. I couldn't wait for my mom to leave. I was getting straight high. Listen, I'm 9 years old. My mom left the room, and I'm getting high. I got friends coming over my house, I'm getting high. I'm 9. So trust me, I didn't start drinking a beer. Most people I know that use heroin or intravenous drugs or use pills, they didn't wake up to that. It started, there's a behavior that started before that. The first time I ate pepperoni, I ate so much I threw up. To this day, my wife has to, listen, when I'm doing cleaner at home, if I got to clean the floor, I got to hand her the cleaner to pour in the bucket because I'll do too much. I have a mind that doesn't know moderation. My brain always does more. So when I touch something, I have to be careful because I'll do extra. That's all addiction is, in a nutshell. But the problem is if we see somebody homeless or if we say we're feeling different, you know, this country, we don't like talking about our emotions. We're not a country that likes talking about how we feel. But I tell you what, you better start because we see the results when we don't deal with what's inside of us. Just because you don't deal don't mean it's going anywhere. So, fast forward, my first institution, I'm 12 years old. And let me be clear, when I was in high school, I felt stupid. I had low self-esteem. I felt not worthy. And what Stephanie was talking about, when you feel like that in high school, at least for me, I started coping doing other things, AKA drugs and alcohol. And listen, when I started using, I didn't think that I'd end up homeless. But that's where it went. I had identity issues. I didn't feel the same. I felt different. You know, I didn't make that most likely to succeed list in high school. And as time went on, I couldn't get with it. So I ended up, and I'll be the first to tell you this, I'm very blessed that I'm in a healthy relationship. My wife, by God's grace and mercy, has 6 years sober. Like, we're very blessed. We're a family in recovery. She takes meds, I take meds. She goes to a therapist, I go to therapist. Like, it's better for society for us both to be in therapy and taking medication. I have no shame in that. We need medication, period. And she comes from a family, too, where we don't talk about these things. So let me tell you what I know about relationships and people, because I think this is very important if you want to get into this work. Healthy people are not attracted to unhealthy people. What do I mean when I say that? The circle you have speaks volumes about the character in which you're attracting spiritually. I've learned that because all my relationships prior to this wonderful woman ended in jail, theft, thievery, fights. Because they were built on a foundation of nothing. But getting with this woman, we work on ourselves. We talk about things. You know, I learned that even a healthy relationship is work. You know, I thought it was, oh, everything's lovely. Oh, heck no. It's work. So, because I didn't want to do what they told me, I ended up in 35 different treatment centers. I've been to 15 psych units. First treatment center, I'm 12 years old. Suicidal ideation. And I remember 5 years ago, the day on Monday, I'm downtown, I'm homeless, and I'm dumpster diving. I remember the lady by Ritz-Carlton walking past me and spitting on me. I remember like begging for change, and I remember drinking and being okay with having money in my pocket. Like I remember being okay with dying. I remember like the lady from Dunkin' Donuts putting the donuts on top of the dumpster, and I remember being okay with as long as she doesn't see me eat out of there because I'm ashamed, right? And I remember going in that dumpster and picking out of there. That's where drugs and alcohol took me. Now, some of you that know people haven't gotten to that point yet, and I pray to God they don't. But let me tell you what I know. Drugs and alcohol with continual use are going to take you to the worst places in your life if you make it out of there. So I'm downtown, I'm begging for change. I pass out, and an African-American brother, I don't know his name, I wish I did, I owe him a steak dinner. He wakes me up. I don't got no shoes. I don't got nothing. He says, sir. I said, listen, let me go. Let me die. I'm a mistake. I can't do life. I'm a failure at life. It's over. I'm done. He says, oh, no. He said, I called the ambulance today. You ain't dying today, brother. He handed me a pillow and a bottle of water. Now, if you've been to Philadelphia, you know we have an epidemic of homeless. What made him stop for me? Of all the people that have done the same things I've done, a lot of them have died. Millions of people died. Statistically, people are dying left and right. Why was I saved? You know what that tells me? I'm not a mistake. You know what that tells me? I got a purpose. So for anybody in here that's struggling with this illness, or if you know somebody, let me be very, very clear. They're not a mistake. They're not here just for average. If you survive what we survive, your soul is different. There's things in this world that you could be. A lot of people don't know this. You know Buzz Aldrin, one of the first 2 human beings to ever walk on the moon? People don't know this. He's one of us. Writers, inventors, CEOs. This is not an intelligence issue. This is not an issue of how good you are. This is about your inside. Unfortunately, Robin Williams, Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, all legendary, all changed the fabrics of their institutions. All will go down as legends of what they do. All dead, unfortunately. Mental health. So don't confuse intelligence with this illness. They're different. So I end up in a treatment center, and this is where it changed. I'm in the basement of a treatment facility. I'll never forget this. This time when I got to rehab, it wasn't, the luxuries of life. I'm in rehab, right? I'm in the basement, and we're going through the clothes, and he says to me, Freddy, you going to pick out clothing? I'm like, yeah. Then he says, you going to pick out underwear? I said, who? And then it hit me. I'm in the basement of a treatment facility, and I'm going through the underwear, and I'm picking out the ones that aren't stained. And I don't know what it was about that, but I was so humbled. I said, I can't do this no more. I got on the phone. I called my mom. I'm the only child. My mom's phone. She said, what, Freddie? I said, I'm going to change this time. I really mean it. She said, Freddie, I hope I didn't get sober to bury you because I will. When my mom gave up on me, I got hungry. See, some of you are dealing with people, and I hate to tell you, but I got to be honest with you. Tough love is the solvent for this. This is a disease that only knows pain and consequence. I wish it were different. It's not. I'm telling you from life experience. I'm not telling you out no book. I'm not telling you out of nothing I ain't lived. I got in that treatment center. I got hungry. I started waking up every day, and I started realizing I was doing emotional surgery. I got out of there. By God's grace and mercy, I enrolled in Delaware County Community College. My first paper I ever wrote ended up being published in the Philadelphia Inquirer on the front page of the op-ed section. By God's grace and mercy, I was in English 025, didn't even think I was smart enough to be on campus. I'm 30-some years old. I'm walking around, kids in here are 30, they're 18, 19, and you know me, listen, I'm walking around campus like, my name's Freddy, I take psych meds, I'm in recovery, I'm walking around, listen, I'm shot out, right? I'm like, hey, I'm so happy to be here. My wife packed me lunch. She said, have a good day. I'm walking around, I got my lunch, I got all my Green Bay gear on, that's another story. I got all this stuff. And I'm walking around campus like, yeah, I'm sober 6 months. But see, when I entered college, I wasn't looking for education. I was looking for life. I wanted to change. I wanted something different. So, my first year, I go there, and it's funny that RecoveryBuild started in 2018, because that's when our speaking company started. I applied for my first workshop, Pennsylvania Black Conference on Higher Education. I do my first workshop. Clarion University calls me. The Message LLC is started. I'm now in college with a motivational speaking company. And then before I know it, I meet Stephanie and them. And then before I know it, I'm in Cape Cod eating seafood in Martha's Vineyard. So listen, let me be clear. Let me tell you my plans for the future, and I want to end this with a bang. Number one, by God's grace and mercy, in these 5 years, here's what I've been able to do and accomplish because people believed in me and I was willing to work. I am a graduate of Delaware County Community College of High Honors, 3.74. I had 10 scholarships before I left there. I was a published writer before I left there, and I had a motivational speaking company before I left there, traveling the globe. I end up leaving Delaware County Community College, receiving all-state PA academic team recipient, which gave me a full ride to any posse school in the state of Pennsylvania. I get that scholarship. I enroll in Westchester University. They accept me into their honors program. I get into the honors program. I have just completed 18 credits. I now hold a 3.84 GPA. I just made president's list, and I got accepted into the accelerated bachelor's to master's program. Don't tell me people in recovery don't change. Don't tell me people in recovery are just average. By God's grace in doing that, last year I officially became an official national keynote speaker. I did my first event virtually. There was almost 1,000 people at that event. When I first started this, my CV was a half a page. By God's grace and mercy, it's now 3 pages. I'm on all these different student boards. Like my point to you is, the resume has changed, but you know how that changed? My soul changed first. So everything outside of that is just icing on the cake. I thank you for being here, because without you, we can't move forward. Without people like you, there is no Freddys. I'll end you with this, right? I've been very blessed to be a parent now.
Yeah, Freddie.
And I'll never forget what my daughter told me. She said, I stepped into her life. I didn't biologically have her. And I'll never forget, she said, and I told her, I said, I'm not, I'm not coming to you with all this stuff. And she said, Dad, some people are so poor, all they have is money. The reason I love you is not because you had me, it's because of your character as a father. Any man can have a child, but it takes a man and a father to raise one. See, my life has changed, but it only changed because people now believe in me. So I asked you, when you're laying down at night and you're thinking about this loud young black kid that was screaming in the middle of the woods, right? I'm asking you tonight, when you're laying down, what is your legacy going to be in this? What do you see in this world that you don't like? And then I asked you, how can you make it different? Because here's the reality. Leadership is not about the next election, people. Leadership is about the next generation. Thank y'all for having me. God bless y'all.
It's time for ice cream. Thank you all for coming. Go in peace. Spread the word.